Okay, hi. We're going to get started on Project 1, just the basics for Project 1, and this tutorial will be similar to what we're doing in class, so you can get used to taking notes and all that stuff. So I apologize if the sound is bad. I am working from home and you may hear my dog snoring or whining in the background, and just try to ignore that. I hope it's not too annoying. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get this into the right size. Remember, we want to use it for social media, and so we want it high def for a phone or device. So the easiest way I think to do that is to come into the artboard tool right here and artboard tool, and you'll know it's in the artboard tools because you can see this bounding box, and up on the top here come to Android 1080p. You could also just type it in, the width and the height, and then we want the portrait orientation, so you're just going to click like that. Now I'm going to click out of that tool and come into the move tool, and you can just move your logo back into the center. And as you can see, I have each element on a different layer so that they're easy to work with, and when we bring them into After Effects, it'll be easy to move it around and it's all set up. So basically we're doing a lot of setup to make our life easier in After Effects. The next thing I'm going to do is make a new layer for the background, and this background layer is going to help us get set up at the right size in After Effects. So come here, create a new layer. I'm going to drag it to the bottom, and I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle in the whole size of the artboard. Obviously I don't want it that color. I'm going to come double click on the fill. I'm going to make it just a really neutral background color. There we go. I'm going to double click on here and name it background. If you don't do anything else for this, name your layers. You'll be so much happier if you do. Okay, so we're going to save, and then we're going to bring it into Adobe After Effects. So come into After Effects, File, Import, File, and I already had it set up here. So this is what's important. We need composition, retain layer sizes. So I know I'm working on a Mac. I'm going to get it set up in the PC in my office soon, so most of the tutorials would be from there, but I know it has the same option. So make sure you're importing it as composition, retain layer sizes. Open it up, and voila. We can see all the layers here. Now I'm going to take this folder and I'm going to drag it in. This is another important step. See this option, use dimensions from? We're going to pick the background. And because we made the background that whole size of our artboard, it is the HD size we need for our logo. So it's automatically going to make our composition the size we need it. It adds it super easy. And then the duration, yours is probably not 3 seconds, it's probably 30. So just make sure it's 00003 to make it 3 seconds. Everything else, keep a single composition. Everything else should be the default. And press OK. And now we can see that we have each separate layer. We have the size of our background correct, and we are good to start to go. If your layer order is messed up, like you want the background on the bottom, but I want my circle, like maybe the circle is covering some of your other stuff. You know, if I wanted that tree to be behind the circle, you just drag it the way you do. Drag it to the top. Drag it to the top, the way you do in other programs. So you're going to move all of these elements around, but for right now, I'm going to show you how to just add text and do some simple animation with the text. So you can lock these if you want, so you don't accidentally mess around with them. You can also turn them off. I'm going to leave the background on so they're not distracting. And if you don't see this text, if you don't see this text here, you can come up to your workspace and make sure text is checked. So we're going to be in the text tool, which is this T tool up here. Just click, and the name of my business was Pacific, and that's the first word, and I'm going to keep it as its own layer. Then to make the second word, you can just click out of the text tool, click in it again, click somewhere else, North Wellness. I'm going to move Pacific to the top since it's in the top in my composition. I think that just makes more sense. I'm going to change this to blue. I'm going to change this from yellow because I think it's probably hard to see on the screen for you. I'll bring it back to red so that they're two different colors. I think that just helps. Now you can really do a lot with your text tool. You can make it capitalized. You can obviously change the font. And you can move it around with the move tool. And then I'm going to get these where I want them to end up in my animation. So I want them to end up kind of in the middle in my animation. And we are going to rotate them, which means that we need the anchor points in a specific spot. So this is an important thing to get in the habit of. I'm zooming in so I can see what's going on. The anchor point is this guy right here. So to move the anchor point, you come in this pan behind or anchor point tool. It's Y on your keyboard. Just click it and you can just click and drag the anchor point wherever you want it to be. I'm going to get it kind of in the middle here. Then I'm going to come into North Wellness. I'm still in the anchor point tool. And this is where having different colors is really helpful. So I'm going to click up. I need to move it down. And I'm going to just click back and forth. Which one? I need to move the blue up a little bit. I think that's pretty close. Okay, so we get the anchor points in a similar place. The next thing we're going to do is have the word Pacific falling from the top, and then I'm going to make them rotate, and you're going to do the rest yourself. So I'm going to come to Pacific, click this arrow for the drop down, click transform. Now I have it set up where I want it to end up before it starts rotating. So I'm going to move the timeline indicator, which is this blue line here, to about 20 because this is where I want it to end up. So something's going to happen before that. Then I'm going to turn on the stopwatch in position, which is going to activate this and create a keyframe. A keyframe is just saying where the position is at a certain point in time on the timeline. Then I'm going to move the timeline indicator back, and I'm just going to be in this move tool out of the anchor point tool, and I'm going to drag it up. Now you can press the space bar and watch it work. You can just click and drag this to make it down the timeline to make it longer. You can make the keyframe closer to make it faster. This kind of stuff is totally up to you. One thing I do want everybody to do is apply an easy ease. So have this keyframe highlighted, hold shift and highlight the other one. Then with the cursor hovering over the keyframe, you right click, keyframe assistant easy ease. It turns into a little hourglass and it just kind of smooths it out a little bit. Okay, and if you wanted to move one of the keyframes again, you're going to need to click out of it and then click back in just the one. So with the North Wellness, I'm going to have that coming up from the bottom. So again, I'm going to have my time indicator where I want it to end. I'm going to come into North Wellness, transform. I'm going to hit position. I'm going to come to the first keyframe. I'm just going to drag it out, and that line is the path of your animation, so you should all see that. And you can see they meet in the middle. I'm going to apply an easy ease to this by selecting both keyframes, right click, easy ease. Now I'm going to have them rotate, and I'm going to have the rotation start just a little bit after they meet in the middle, so I have my time indicator there. And this is where those anchor points are really important because they're going to rotate around the anchor point. So I am going to start the rotation here, and then I'm going to move my timeline indicator, and then I'm just going to type 360 degrees for one rotation. And you can see how that moves. Again, with the keyframe, you can make it closer to make it a faster turn, make it further away to make it slower. So I'm going to highlight both of these by holding Shift and clicking. I'm going to ease it. And then I'm going to just copy them while I have both highlighted. So Command Control copy. I'm going to move my time indicator to the first keyframe of the rotation, and I want to just paste it into the North Wellness, the second word. So I'm going to hit the rotation stopwatch there and just do Command Control V. So you don't have to do that twice, and they should turn together. So that is super simple way to start. You are going to use scale, you're going to use opacity, you can obviously make as many rotations as you want, and then you're going to make your other layers really interesting. So I want you to move all of the layers in your image, turn them back on, make them look great, and have a lot of fun with it. Think about how you can really engage someone watching this on social media. So the next thing we're going to do is render it. So you're going to come into the Adobe Media Encoder, and you can either go to File, Export to Adobe Media Encoder Q, or you can press the plus button here. And we're going to keep this as match source. The format is H264, and you want to match the source just because we have it all set up already. You already set up the size. And then make sure your output is saved to where you want it to be saved. So for you, that is the your M drive, and this will be the final MP4 file. So make sure you name it, your name, and I think that's what I said to name it, but follow whatever it says in Canvas and get it into the right spot. And then you just press play and you'll have your MP4 saved. All right, have fun, get really creative. We'll go over a lot of this in class, but you'll have this tutorial too to refer to if you get stuck.